Well, build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Longbangers in association with Lee Spirits. I'm Matty.
Hello, I'm Colin.
I'm John.
Yeah, very upbeat, both of you. There's
We could be a barbershop trio, like if we could just get our tone right and our cadence.
By the way, that could be like a novel, like a wee USP for the podcast that we just introduce ourselves rather than sending you to sleep as we do. Sometimes we could brighten up your day with a wee jingle at the start.
Hello, hello.
Oh, I thought you were going somewhere else with that.
No, there's no toe tapping on this podcast.
Right, we probably need a bit of cheering up. Let's a bit of a shorter than usual podcast tonight because on a Thursday night we also put out for subscribers the Week at Hibs episode. So this is like almost a bonus episode talking about the defeat last night to the Rangers. And if you are a subscriber, you'll also have in your podcast players later on the Week at Hibs. As well, if you want to subscribe, there's 3 different ways that you can do it now. You can do it on our Hubwave, you can do it on our Patreon, and you can now do it on YouTube by becoming a member on there as well. You get the exact same new content as it's released. That is for our subscribers. So go and check out. If you don't already subscribe to our YouTube channel, go and do it, please, because we're like 11 short 1,000, and at 1,000 YouTube start to give us ad money instead of keep it all to themselves. And it's better in our pockets than them because it goes back to the club in some indirect way, i.e. we buy a pie. Like we didn't send it to them, like we just fucking buy shit off of them. Right. So the format for tonight's one is we're pretty much going to get like a wee what did you think of the game for both of you, and then we'll go into the talking points. There's loads of them, as there usually is after a defeat. Tends to be a bit heavier on the talking points. So if we don't get to your one, we're really sorry. It's not a judgment on the quality of it. It's just I've run out of time. So, John, first of all, come to you. What was your take on the game last night?
I thought we started right. I thought first half we were all right, and then second half we fell out of it after giving away a really cheap goal. I think it was a really good strike from, I forget his name, boy with the blonde curly hair. Cantwell. And then second half, like we were just out of it and compounded that feeling of this is fucking awful by Marshall basically doing a levitt against Johnston and passing it straight to the Rangers player feet, and then boom, 3-0. Might as well have wrapped it up there and then.
Yeah. I think a lot of the crowd did at that point. It was like fucking enough. I always think that's a worry, like sometimes it's the opponent that impacts that because nobody likes Rangers, and it's like they're one of the worst teams to lose to, like, because they're just not a nice team.
Just so I'm not doing it. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to.
When you're getting like a bit of pumping, I can totally get like the lack of desire to see it to the end. But when it's dead early, no, it's dead early, but it was about 75 minutes or something when they scored the third. There was still like a decent amount of time to go, but the place just emptied.
Well, what I was going to say as well was that just so I'm not doing us a disservice, there was an opportunity, at least one, where we've hit it straight at the keeper. And that actually was, I had my arms up, I thought we'd scored. Mm-hmm. And we hadn't. And I think if that had been different, then you might have seen and felt a different ending to the game.
Aye, 100%. Colin, what about you? What did you think about it?
I was disappointed, obviously, because it did feel a bit like a training match towards the end. But I actually thought we started all right. And as John said, that goal was in injury time in the first half. If we had got in at 1-0, and then we came out and obviously had that chance that I've not seen back. I'm not sure if it was a good save or a bit of a sitter or a bit of both.
Bit of both.
But we would have felt still in it. But at 2-0, it felt too far away. But if it had been 1-0, then I think I would have felt as bad. It was a real stinger, that, especially since he looked injured seconds before it, because it looked like he pulled up. He was right in front of me actually, and he pulled up, and then Mego smashed him, and then he was lying down, and the next thing he done, batter him on his fucking top corner. I'm like, what beat their leg? And that killed the game. But I felt like we were in it, and I think, like, obviously, I think I've only read stuff last night. I've not seen it during the day, but Montgomery seemed to be getting a bit hard time at the start of it because he had suggested we had chances and we never took our chances. But I think that's how I felt. Definitely at half time. Maybe by the end of the game, I'd kind of thought, because we looked like we'd gave up a wee bit. But it did. I think we just didn't take our chances, and they did, because it wasn't like Marshall was making saves all over the place, or they missed loads of chances either. And they took the 3 chances we never took, or definitely 2 that we had.
Aye, I thought they had a couple first half that they should have scored from as well. Like at the near, like if you're the West Hand side, near post chances that they knocked wide, and I was like, fucking how have they not scored? I think how I feel about the game. Like I was raging coming out of the game, and normally I'm quite calm or calmish about a defeat to the Old Firm because you can about the golf, right? We've talked about that loads, but I was like, it just felt like we didn't like we could have done better in that game. And then I was like, when I slept on it in the day, I was like, is that unfair? Because you look at the back four, you got Megwa making his Montgomery said he made his debut. I thought Johnson tried Megwa. League debut, is it? I was going to say because I'm sure he should have played this season. But Megwa.
Did Megwa play against Blackpool?
Aye.
I'm not sure where else he played.
I thought he'd played. Maybe I was thinking of Del Ferry when he came in. You know when they couldn't settle on a right back earlier in the season, when Johnson was still here and they sort of tried a couple. I thought Megwood had a go then, but I maybe just misremembering that. But anyway, like Megwood making the start. You've got Abita at left centre half, so he's playing out of position, and then you're having to play Stevenson at left back, which you wouldn't really want to be doing now anyway. So your whole back four's makeshift, almost apart from Fish. And that has a knock-on effect on the rest of the team because it affects how, like, if you can't trust the folk behind you and you need to give them a bit of extra care, it affects how, like, everybody plays. You're maybe, like, a bit more cautious with your approach. And so I was like, right, when Montgomery's mentioned missing 10 players, he's got my leader starting who looked miles off it. Like, I thought he looked like he was well short of match fitness. I thought he was miles off it, but he started him. He's had to bring on, or not had to bring on, but he's brought on Amos, who's not played for a bit, and Emiliano, who's not played for a bit. Although he was really good. But that's just kind of what I thought was: is it a bit of like is it harsh to be as angry as I felt coming out of the ground when you put a bit of mitigation into it? Or is that just making excuses?
I know. Well, the thing is with my leader, like starting, I suppose he was going to be lacking match fitness because he's not played many matches. But did we also not sign somebody because they couldn't make an instant impact?
Well, aye. This is the other question that comes up. Like if your manager's kind of constantly telling you that we need somebody to come, we've not got time to get people up to speed. They need to come in and hit the ground running.
But I suppose match fitness is different to fitness. Like, I think you could say he's fit, but he's not played many matches. But his other boy was maybe just unfit.
Yeah,
is maybe the difference. So I was kind of playing devil's advocate a wee bit, I suppose, because I think that's probably the difference. Because he didn't look unfit; he just didn't look sharp.
Yeah,
he was tracking back and he was running back and all that kind of stuff. He wasn't fit enough to run.
Yeah, he had a good chance. Like he should have scored. Like the one that Butland saved. Like, I think John, that'd be the one that you were, because I was up. I thought it was in as well. I was like,
it just looked like an easy, not quite a tap-in, but a side footed, because it was almost like it was hard. Maybe doing on the service, but it was almost harder to miss, and he somehow missed.
I've not seen it back. I thought at the time I went, what a save, and then I thought he should have scored that. My daughter's going, that's a good save, and I'm going, I need to see it back. I've not seen it back.
I've not seen any replays. Only saw it at the time, and I thought it just seemed like a gimme, like an easy goal. And I think that was, and I think to go back to your point about the team and the mitigations or the excuses or whatever, I think that was the big difference between us and them. The chances that they had, they took them. Like, so there was the Cantwell goal that I think was just a really good strike that I think is probably worthy of winning any game. But the other two, as much as it was a decent ball over the top for the fullback, like I wouldn't have said that was a gimme, that strike. Like it was a really good goal for him. And then the pass into the back of Marshall.
we've had other goalies that would get hammered for losing a goal.
Aye, and I actually think Marshall could have done better for Cantwell's as
Yeah.
well.
Are they?
Aye, look at. I've seen the clip back on Twitter. At the time, I actually thought watching it live, it had gone in the other corner, and then when I saw it back on Twitter, it's not quite going right through Marshall, but it's close enough to him that you think he's got to save that.
I'll have to have another look.
Aye.
But the
Didn't look
point
like
I
he
was
would
trying
need
to make was we had that, let's call it a half chance save for my leader. I feel confident if that was a Rangers player, they would have scored it. And that was just the big difference between the two sides of the night. They scored their chances. We didn't.
Ewan's header as well, John.
Ewan's header, Ewan's left foot shot, the one that he maybe could have cut back across the face of the goal for Venti, like maybe there was better. To be fair, like I was actually happy that he took those two efforts on his left foot, because I think there's been plenty other times where he's been a bit hesitant and tried to get it on his right. So, aye. Disappointing.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you two are reasonable about these things, because I was ready to come in and just fucking moan my tits off about it, because I was like grumpy all night last night. That's why I couldn't sleep. Like, get in and just come in, you're like, just rage. I had a big ranty post on Hibs.net.
You weren't in, were you in open letter to Nick Montgomery? Or
No,
territory?
it wasn't quite as far as that. And I didn't get into
He's in the car saying, I'll drive him back to Australia.
I didn't get into the bingo levels in him, but Josh had made a really good point to me when we were at the game. So it's 2 points really. He says, "What does a Hibs goal look like? Okay, like if you were to describe what is a typical Hibs goal, how would you describe it?"
Can't remember the last one we got.
Ball over the top for Boyle, and maybe he scores or cuts it back. That's how I would describe it at the moment.
So
maybe because that's the most recent ones I can remember.
The last three have been Doidge's back header at 4 for last week. Right, so didn't have to go that far back to find one. And then Ewan's 2 against Motherwell, which one was a deflection as we sort of broke chasing the game. And the first one was a good bit of play, like we controlled the ball, moved their team a bit, and he had like a dribble in at the box and scored it. But there's no a pattern there for how we play. And I was like, because you could probably tell, it's like with Celtic, you can tell how they score goals. With Rangers, you can tell how they score goals. But even like Hearts, you can see how they score the goals. But we didn't have that. And then the other thing he said, and this is, you can tell that Josh is in his 3rd year at uni, and this is what he's been working on it this week, was analysing what type of teams or systems teams do. So he says, like, they're like a counter-attacking team or a possession-based team. And he says, we defend like a counter-attacking team and we attack like a possession-based team, but the two are incompatible when you do that. So basically what happens when we win the ball back, everything stops and we slow it right down. Whereas if you're set up to counter-attack, it needs to go forward quickly. Like that, you take advantage of the other team being out of possession. And I was like, well, that makes sense as well for how we play. And anyway, right.
It's for him talking a lot of shite, winding you up at the games, eh?
Aye, I know. Now I have to kind of go, that's quite good. I have to concede the points. Apologies if you hear my duck barking. There's the duck barking outside that's triggered him, and he's a wee bastard. That's the last word. So if that's coming through, I apologise. It's outside of my control. Right. Eh?
I wonder where he gets that for.
Aye, I can't have to get the last word. Fuck knows. I'm married. That those days have long gone. Right, football tweets is the first talking point, and we've got he's done a cracking football tweet picture as well. It's a good Twitter account to follow if you don't already follow it. There's good illustrations of goals and funny things that happen in Scottish football.
And his merchandise, so if you enjoy the cartoons, you can get it on mugs and mouse mats and t-shirts and whatnot.
Aye, are you selling that for him?
Aye, that's an
is he a sponsor now? Like?
No, that's an unpaid promotion there, John.
Okay.
Yeah. I just like a wee bit cross.
Nice to be nice, eh? Nice to be nice.
Right, I'll get my mug in the post office.
Right, it's the football tweets. It says, tactically this, also I've not seen Easter Road clear out so quickly as it did when that third went in. As I heard someone say, I'm not staying to watch them do a training exercise. Top 6 finish looking dicey. And that's a wee graphic. So if you see that on YouTube, it's kind of quite almost clear. You've got like your goal on one side with the defenders, a big brown hole, and then 4 attackers at the other side it.
You should have just left it up as it was, because it just looks like a big pile of shite.
Big pile of shit. Well, I tell you what,
how the second half felt.
It's no far off it. I think the training exercise for that second half, that was a lot of the chat round about us. And by the way, it was Ken folks sit in front of you and they're looking at your phones and everything. There was a boy reading through Longbangers tweets in front of me.
All right.
So hello, if
Aye.
you're listening.
Wonder if you knew. Eh?
Aye. Paul Mackay said, so passive, nowhere near enough aggression. Dylan Levitt was poor as well. Strange sub with Joe Neal going off, and the guy at the back of me wanting Jeggo on, then wanting him off again, and was playing a game of Jeopardy, also asking if Levitt's the answer, what's the question? So if Levitt is the answer, what's the question, John?
I don't know. When I was watching the game, first 10 minutes, I was actually quite impressed with Hibs, and it occurred to me, I've not seen a long ball yet. And at that point, we had Levitt taking the ball and kind of playing in Ewan, which I thought was quite a quick. So to go back to what Josh was talking about with regards to like counter-attacking, that was a good example of the counter-attacking move, just like quick football, getting the ball forward. But then later as the game progressed, almost as soon as I thought to myself, like, I'm not seeing a long ball yet, Hibs started playing long balls. And as the game progressed, like you say, like we just fell out of it. So I think we maybe touched on this last week about singling out like certain players.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we've got like people that have engaged with like the Twitter posts and what have you that have said that Nick Montgomery wouldn't have signed Dylan Levitt, but he currently has to use him because of injury concerns and like lack of squad depth and whatever. So like I do think there's a player there, but at the moment, like everyone else, he's just kind of come under the spotlight for all the things that aren't going well for him and ignoring the things that he's doing right.
And Levitt
are few and far between, to be fair.
He infuriates me. Like he's much better than he's shown now. That's my view on Levitt. I think he's a much better player than we're seeing from the now, and I reckon if that's his fault or the system's fault. But it's definitely not working. And he was getting pelters for the folk round about us. I think there was one where he just passed it straight, like an easy pass on the left hand, so just before he went off, and he just passed it straight at the pitch. And you're like, that's his skill. It's like his ball manipulation, if you like. Right, Neil Renton. Hello, Neil. He said, in the last 5 years, how many players have we brought in who've never made an impact on the first team? Is this issue with recruitment, or is it managing the players? Is it developing the players, or the culture in the club which seems to lack passion and accountability? Colin.
Big question, eh? That is a lot of. Do we just remember the fails or the people that didn't make an impact more though? Because there has been players that came in and have made an impact, right? But there's probably more that didn't. Is that just because the market we're shopping in and the amount of money we're paying? That's maybe a hit and a miss. Then the culture, don't know. Just try to offer a different. I'm thinking Neil suggesting it's a culture thing. But how many years did they say? 5 years.
5. But we spoke about the last 5 years.
5-year comparison.
Yeah.
But then, so you can go back further than 5 because that team 5 years ago as well wasn't there. When you went through it, you went, "Oh, is that the team?"
Aye.
So.
It's an interesting one, eh? Definitely recruitment has been flawed, but there's been some players that have been written off as misses that have turned out to be hits, and but there's a load of folk there that have been through the club that just you wouldn't have noticed if they were here or no.
Culture and identity of a football club is something that often comes into question regarding Hibs, and if those two things are a problem, how do you build culture? How do you build an identity, and how do you maintain it?
Got an expert here, top left of my screen. That's just what he does.
And I tell you what, John, is we'll do it for another time, right? Because we've not got long enough.
It's almost an extra time episode.
It is, but I've already been involved in something that was delivered at Hibs and sorting out the culture that left with Leanne Dempster.
So get Dempster back? Is that what we're saying?
No. So Leanne Dempster was brought in to deliver it. It's part of the working together group. So through that work, me and a few other people, we ran our culture. That was our subject, and we put together a proposal to say this is how you improve the culture at the club. These are all the things that you need to be looking at, and it was things like targets. It was things about how you onboard people, the type of character you're looking at, the goals that you set, the ethos of the club. Like how do you draw that right through through the club, and Rod Petrie, who was in charge at the time, liked it. They went and brought on Leanne Dempster to deliver it. I went and did an interview with her for a blog, and just before the blog started, she says, "I'll show you this," and she pulled out and this big massive like kind of folder. She says, "This is like our, I can't remember what she called it, but it was like a strategy plan that she'd written," and she's right at the heart of it, and she's flipped through a few pages, and there was like the presentation, the stuff that we'd recommended. She says that's what we're doing, and of course that team went on to win the Scottish Cup. I'm taking credit for us winning the Scottish Cup.
I was going to say you
Right.
definitely are.
No, right,
I'll take the credit for not getting out the fucking championship as well.
But totally. But if you talk about culturally at the time, that team gets like that's almost like you had Liam Fontaine writing songs about the club. You had McGinn, Five, McKeown,
they just get it. They just get it. Oh, that's another one for the bingo card.
So I think it makes a difference, but I think that it feels like that's been lost now. And if Hibs are listening, they want me to come in and help out with it. I'm fucking you've got me on LinkedIn. You
when they get Foley's billions and they can afford your day rate.
Aye, I'm more than happy to come in and do some consultancy on that. No bother at all. I will even give you mates rates for it. Right, Ventus Plenty says, not overly worried yet. We've played far worse against Rangers. Marcondes looks class. Megwa played well, barring the first goal. Malida was decent for the first half hour, but faded after that. Jair still getting it tight from the stands, and a night to forget for Marshall. John,
here's a funny one, eh?
Aye.
Sorry, I'll
just jump in.
On the Jair one, because he's in the team and he starts every week. He never gets up, but he doesn't create any goals, and he doesn't score any goals. So I'm not really sure what, like.
When you say doesn't create any goals, did Tino whip in the cross for Deutsch against Hoffa?
Aye, he did. Just you'll have to go back again for him to have created a goal.
Right, fine. So you put a cross in first. Like, against the worst team in Scotland.
That is a phenomenal talent that you acknowledge the point and immediately dismissing it without saying anything else.
Right, okay. I didn't see the game, obviously, right? But I'm not sure, like, fair enough, he's had a cross. But that's what, one cross there, right? I think he maybe had another one in the game. But last night, he didn't do anything. Like, there's nothing happens.
Aye. I thought...
I'm not sure what he's there. But you better just be a workman-like player out there that puts the occasional cross in as well.
He needs to work on his watching the line as well. He's like run offside a couple of times last night.
Went fucking mental at him last night because he ran and he was about 10 yards offside. And everybody around me's going, fucking stop.
Aye.
Kind of like you do with the men's football when somebody runs miles off, going, stop, you're off. It was like that. And Stevenson went fucking nuts because it took all his options away. That was his option. And he just kept running. You're like, where you going? Fucking unreal.
Aye.
I like the story, the Ken coming back and the redemption and all that, but actually, come to the brass tacks, like, what's he scored? What's he created?
One goal. I think he's got a couple of assists. I think he's got a couple of assists. The only reason I pulled you up on that one to go back a game is because I kind of talked about having a big rant on Hibs.net. I says like, what are our goals like? They're rarer than hen's teeth. Using that one again, and Bingo says we've scored again 3 in our last 2 competitive games.
Apparently,
take away last night.
Somebody says we're the high scorers, but we just let too many in. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't feel like Jair, and I don't want to single him out because he's not the only one that was shite, right? But I just didn't really know what he brings to the team.
Okay, Tony Lally and John, you can take this one. Formation kills us, always outnumbered in midfield. I mean, who the fuck even plays 4-4-2 anymore? Yuan is one of the laziest, overrated and disinterested players I can remember seeing. Newell and Levitt getting a load of stick, and but when the actual formation is 4-2-4, what can they do?
I don't know if that's the formation or not, but they do feel overrunning there.
John, you want to take this one?
I was going to say, like,
John there, did you?
I did.
I wasn't listening.
No, I was listening.
I wasn't.
I don't know. So the formation thing, like when we talk about like 4-4-2 and what have you, like the only time I think that you see it throughout the game is like at the start on the graphics, say, or maybe in the program, like because the players didn't like move backwards and forwards as a 4-4-2. It's kind of like fluid and it changes. And as I say, at the start of the game, I didn't think that we were overrunning midfield. Like I thought that we were equal to Rangers. Like, you can argue the point that perhaps they were having an off day or whatever, but I've seen Rangers teams come to Easter Road before and put us under lots and lots of pressure. What I saw yesterday for the Hibs team and the formation that we're playing, whether it was like 4-4-2, 4-2-4, whatever you want to get into, we seem to be calm under any sort of pressure. So an example of that would have been when I think there was a ball awkwardly played back to Marshall. He played out to Fish. I think it gets played out to Newell in the penalty spot, and then he plays it out to, I want to say, Stevenson at left back. Like, that was us playing out under pressure. So I don't think we were swamped in midfield at that point. I think the way that the game changed afterwards is how I described previously about the cheap goal that we conceded, because there was debate as to whether Yuan is kind of like passed on Megwa like way too late and he's just been lazy running backwards. And then later on, that's been compounded by our own errors by not being able to finish and the goal later on. So I think to go back to what we were saying at the start of the episode, I think the disappointment that I feel is compounded by like a number of disappointments in a row.
Yeah.
I don't think we were as bad last night, first half, as the whole of the game and the end of the game would suggest, and how we feel would suggest.
The formation thing, right, and the overcrowded in midfield, and I'm going to quote Josh again, and so apologies for it. He made the point, right, so see, when we're playing out, everybody, like our two midfielders, so Newell and Levitt pretty much playing along the same line. So you can't break a press like that. You need one of them to be ahead of the press to receive the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But they're both 20, 25 yards out for the goal. We're fanning about along the 18-yard line. Right? So we're passing it about the 18-yard line. It goes into Newell or Levitt. But when they turn around, their next option for a pass is halfway or beyond. So that there is that, like, the big gap that Football Tweets had in his graphic. That's what the issue is with the way that we play. Is like the style is to. Like I said this in an earlier episode, I didn't get the point in passing the ball in the back to draw a team out, to then knock it forward to somebody who loses it immediately because they're totally isolated or we play out of play. We lose possession as soon as we go forward, like so many times. I just get it. I get the value in doing that. You'd as well just fucking launching the ball, try to win the second ball, and then try to get possession at the halfway line and play for there. I just didn't get it. We lose the ball for that setup and that formation so often, and it looks like that's what the issue is. About two midfielders are too deep, and that maybe goes back to what we were saying at the start about no trust in the defence, because it was a sort of makeshift one. Maybe the sit is deep for that, but right,
I think there was also. Sorry, I was going to say there was a suggestion that Newell's carrying an injury as well. So as much as he's in the middle, like, I wonder if that's hindering his ability to do what you're
Didn't he look
suggesting.
happy about coming off? Like, even though I know folk were saying after it was a calf or something, he's got a calf strain or something, but he didn't look impressed that he got subbed. So I'm not sure if that's like a bit of cover.
Would you have rather he lumped off just to emphasise the point? Like,
well,
if
you're injured, you didn't give it the. Well, you would do that, right? So everybody knows you're injured. That's what folk do. Or you didn't look angry and being subbed.
Yeah.
You can be both though, surely. You can be carrying injury and go off and be pissed off because you're getting beat 2-3-0 or whatever, because the other mistakes going on around you.
But you can't come with smiling because you get hammered for that as well.
Ah.
But I know it just appeared that he was unhappy being subbed rather than being injured.
Right. Colin, you take this one, right? Jake Gapper said, I thought we played some decent stuff up until the third shambles of a goal. Yuan needs to be the furthest man forward. He keeps losing the ball in dangerous areas. Why was Venti still playing behind Malida? And Jego on for Newell was a strange one unless he knew the game was dead and is saving Joe for Kelly.
Aye. Don't know why Venti was that deep. He wasn't at first, but then he seemed to gradually drift back there. Because there was one point early on, I think there was a ball, and I thought, I can't remember who it was on the left-hand side. I thought they could have squared it across to Venti, and I think they took the shot maybe Yuan, actually. I can't remember.
Yuan, early doors.
Aye. And Venti looked at the back post unmarked, and I thought, fucking hell, we've got somebody there for a tap-in. For a change. And then he did start drifting, but that might be because Malida was fucking knackered, or wasn't he sharp enough to use somebody to go back and help out? Don't know. What was the other? There was something else said about.
So Jego on for Newell was a strange one. I suppose we just talked about the Newell sub there. And Yuan needs to be furthest forward.
I think
losing the ball
we
in
need to
dangerous
playing
areas.
him up front. I do. I can't. He did. the midfield's getting overrun as it is. So they need somebody out there that's actually going to work a bit harder. I think. And I know, Leon would say always scores all their goals and creates all their goals. I think that's what the stats say, but
But at what
I don't
cost?
know. I think it was about the something being better than some of your parts. So is that how that's saying that? I
Aye,
keep
it
trying
is,
to say
yeah.
it. I keep always thinking butchering it every time I say it. And I don't think him playing out in the wide does that for us. What we need is goals and creation. So maybe you stick him through the middle where Boyle's been playing
Yeah.
to get somebody out there that'll get up and do and no let the man run off and leave Mego exposed.
Who plays? I was thinking about this earlier, and I was wondering whether Yuan's found himself back in the side because Boyles will be on international duty. Because if you remember, like prior to that, Yuan had been dropped for a few games, and I think the suggestion was then was due to work rate.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, who plays right midfield at the moment? I think when Yuan started last night, if Yuan gets relegated to the bench again, I don't know, and that maybe
I
comes
know.
back to like squad depth and injuries and transfers and.
I don't know if Malotnikov can play there. I don't know. I don't know if he's more a central player or not. If we're playing players out of position, Josh Campbell played there. Obviously, he's injured now as well.
Yep.
Cadden's still out. He would be another option. So there's options, but then none of them are fit. And I don't know if Malotnikov's out of position there.
I think you could. I think you
So it
could
would be-
play Molotnikov there, but you'd have to accept that he's not a winger. I think that would have to be like a general acceptance amongst
But
the
we
Hibs
didn't play
support.
no
Like,
wingers. Ewan was cutting inside just. He was in the centre circle at times, second half. So
yeah.
it's not meant to be like as much as we keep talking about or we keep hearing the folk messaging in about 4-4-2 and the
Maybe
movement and all that stuff. Well, it wasn't he because he was in fucking half feeling at points.
I suppose maybe what I was trying to say was that not expect him to be hitting the byline and swinging crosses in. So if he does do exactly what you
Aye.
described it as Yuan, then that's the sort of player that he is. That's what he's going to do.
Because Ewan doesn't he get the byline, get crosses in he. So and Boyle doesn't he? Like, that doesn't happen anymore either. So I think if that's what we've got, I don't know if Molotnikov could do that. I don't know. But aye, we're struggling for somebody out there. I just think we the point. I don't know if it was the last point or if it was part of this point, but with two in the midfield who aren't really got a big injury. Neil gets about, I suppose, but he didn't really look like it last night. And they're always against three, so they need to be working. Well, not twice as hard, but 1.5 times harder to match three. Eh?
Yeah, you need more of an engine
Just,
for at least one of them, and you don't
Aye.
really like Levitt's lacking pace. I think we've seen that before.
and if they're not going to do it, you need the left and right midfielders to be doing more running for it. And you've got Jair and Ewan out there, and it just doesn't happen.
Right, we've got time for two more, and then we'll wrap up. But like I said at the start, apologies if we never got to your talking points. There was loads to get through. Right, first one, John, you can answer this one. Colin, you can take the next one. First one is from Andrew Brown. It says, for the third league game in a row, being a man down in midfield has cost us. The time Lundstrom had to chip that ball over the top was criminal. We need to find a way to get an extra body in the middle to at least match up numbers. Players are dragged out of position to cover. Have we covered that with what we were talking about formation already, you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I feel like I was maybe going to just repeat myself with regards to like formation and players through the middle and what have you. Sorry, I'd be doing that question of the service.
Right, well, maybe we can fit another one in then. Raymond Gray, right, Colin, you take this one. Hi, Raymond. He said, I had a look at the current first team in terms of the budget involved. It totals 32 players, including the new additions. 4 are injured, 7 out on loan, 3 at the club are on loan. Continually changing manager, we're left with a player identity unrelated to what the current manager needs.
That's a good point. It is. And that's why, aye, definitely. You've got, but I think, did we cover that maybe in an extra time or something? Or was it the week at Hibs last week? We definitely spoke about having,
It's been
Aye,
brought
it
up a
was
few
extra
times,
time,
yeah.
yeah.
it's came up like where we spoke about they've all come in, they all have a window or 2 windows or 3 windows or however many Johnson got, or, and then we've still got some of Jack Ross's team there. It's actually probably the ones that are, well, Heckenbottom side Joe Newell, but you've got, like, if you think of Jack Ross's side, it's still Newell, Hanlon, Stevenson, like they're all still playing.
Aye.
And then you've just got the odd one scattered here and there that's come in for Maloney or for Johnson, and there isn't this guy seems to have a clear idea of what he wants, formation wise, or and all that kind of thing. And he's not got the players for it. But he's starting to get players in now, so we can only hope that we see it change and these players come in, and he's got them on early. 3 of them. We never mentioned Demos, but he's came on as well. And you think, well, hopefully that's because he's trying to change it into players that suit the style he wants. He's kind of embedded the style, but it's not coming off yet because the players didn't fit it.
Aye.
Rather than, I don't know. I suppose the argument would be a good coach would come in and work with the players he's got, and what he's done is, this is my fucking style. You don't fit or you will leave.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like
I just about got up and left there. Like that came across really clearly. It's like, right, that's me. I'm done. I don't know.
I think with it looks like we've signed a high quality player. Like certainly on paper, the players come with a good background, and really Arnold, I thought he looked absolutely terrific last night. I thought he was the only player on our team that looked if he went to the Rangers team, he would improve them. I just thought he looked terrific, but he also looked very, very busy, like he wanted to impress. And it's that attitude is the one that I've been calling out. Well, not just Levitt, but like a few of the players for like, we need more players like that are like, give me the fucking ball, I'm going to go and do something here, instead of just passing the buck all the time when they get it. Right, we're out of time. Thanks very much for your talking points. Sorry we never got to do them all. We will be back with a longer episode on Sunday after the Kelly game, so we might revisit the Rangers game, but we might not probably have calmed down by that point. If we weren't angry enough for your own personal views, I'm sorry about that, and if we were too angry for your personal views, sorry about that. It's just what we think. We just call it as we see it. Thanks for tuning in. If you're a subscriber, I said at the start, you'll be able to get Week at Hibs, which will be out. Well, as if you listen to this, you'll be listening to that just after it because it's available then. Thanks very much. We'll see you next time.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee.